All right, welcome to Win the Day livecast. We're going to talk about how to build wealth, extreme, life-changing, generational wealth. Let's start there. What we want from this pod or livecast is to help realtors, those two, but realtors create enough income such that they can build wealth and then live a life they want to live when they're done working. And if you do it right, you can do generational wealth. How cool is that? There's a recurring theme I've noticed lately, and I must be open to it. I was watching Landman. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but I was watching it last night. And Billy Bob Thornton's character's boss, they were talking about him and how he started with nothing, and now he owns the oil company. And he made most of his money in short little bursts of boom times, and then you try to survive the busts. All right. It was a theme that they talked about. And last week I was talking to one of my real estate buddies here that is on top of his game. And he was telling me a story about his dad, who's very successful. And he was talking about how his dad once told him that, you know, when I look back at my career, I can point to a couple times where I made most of my money. And the rest of the time was just getting to the next money-making opportunity. Then I was thinking back on Gary. I remember we were in Austin and he was talking about how he made most of his money right at the Great Recession and all that. And he talked about how there's short periods of time where you make a lot of money and long periods of time when you don't. So it's a recurring theme. And again, I must be dialed into it because it shows, it's always there, but it's showing itself to me now. And it's going to show itself to you because I'm pounding on you about it. But here's a cycle we have in real estate, in life, in wealth building, right? Whether it's in stocks or real estate, there is a market or a period of time of fast up followed by almost equally fast down, followed by an extraordinarily unordinary or extraordinarily ordinary period of time where almost nothing happens. All right. It will go back to the Disney World. You wait in line, you move, 1 foot every 15 minutes, 1 foot every 15 minutes. Eventually you get on the ride and 45 seconds later, you're back on the ground, but you had a hell of a ride, right? Julie, you're a skydiver. I bet there's a lot of practice training and stuff that goes into that 2-minute drop. A lot of going into 2 minutes of fun and you're back in line. If you ever watch football and there's going to be a field goal, you see the kicker warming up on the side, kicking into a net over and over and over and over again. And then they go out on the field and kick, and 12 seconds later, it's over. It's just the way it is. Wealth creation is the same thing. You got to give yourself the opportunity such that when you do get your chance to go in, when you do jump, when you do go down the slide, that you're ready for it. That you can enjoy the ride or even get to the ride. So let's talk about that for a minute. And I'll give you an example too. The pandemic was our last real estate one. Okay. It was slow. 2011 to 2019 into 2020 was slow, methodical grind time. Not a lot happening, good or bad. But then in 2020, pandemic hits, COVID hits, the market doubles in value and transactions go to the moon, right? Crazy up in a short period of time. Fortunes were made by those that were in position. I bought 9 properties in a period of about 14 months. And I'm so glad I did. And then from 22 to now, we've had the exact opposite. Transactions have plummeted 60%. And prices are starting to soften. But it's the transactions that were the plunge, right? And we've seen real estate agents lose dramatic. Your number of checks you're getting are significantly fewer. So that's the downside. Now we're entering into the long grind, right? How long it is, who knows? It's hard to say, right? It'd be nice to be able to time out when these next big runs occur and all that stuff. But it's impossible to time any market, and you're a fool if you try to. You either get lucky or you don't, and most often you don't. So, but what can you do? What can you do? These are the times that you position yourself such that when the market does go, you are there to take advantage of it. I was in pretty good shape on the last one. I wish I was in better shape. And the one that happened before that was right after the Great Recession. I was not in shape. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the knowledge. Didn't have the anything. And but I got ready such that I could buy all those properties when I did. And I'm telling that to you now because for a lot of us, a lot of you, you're back to the struggle bus, right? It's boring lead gen, boring preview, boring study, boring, and to do a few deals and whatever. But what you should be doing right now is mastering pricing. You should be understanding values, right? Why one thing's valuable and another one's not. And how to compare and contrast those. Those will be good for your clients and it'll be good for the person looking back at you in the mirror, right? You should master the daily grind to be able to go out and show up day in and day out and do the boring stuff, the repetitions, boring stuff. And you should really focus on delivering world-class customer service because here's what's happening, people. If you haven't noticed it, your listings are lasting. They're sitting, right? They're going to start expiring. Okay. Customer service will keep those horses on in your stable and you want to keep them. But that's going to come down to customer service. You're going to have those conversations, talk strategy, talk expectations with your sellers. It sucks. It absolutely sucks, but you got to get good at it. Here's the other things you got to do. You got to save your money. All right. There's a lot of opportunity to make money here because the market's going to go up. It's going to be up slowly. It's going to fall back a little bit. It's going to go up slowly. It's going to fall back a little. It's going to go up slowly. But this is where you get really smart and you save some money because that is going to be your cover charge to get into the game. You're going to have some money to put down and you're going to use the bank money or whoever else money later. But you got to have some. You got to be able to get in the door. So save some money. Don't go spend every dime that you earn in commissions. You got to spend this time understanding finance. Bring in lenders. Talk to them about different strategies. We got a guy coming in tomorrow. Andrew Paul is going to talk about VA financing. But you got to understand all the different avenues available because that'll make you nimble, fast, agile, all that stuff when the thing starts to happen. And you got to define your criteria. What is it you're going to invest in? Not everybody invests in the same things. Some people like different things. Some people like multifamily. Some people like long-term rentals. Some people like vacation rentals, right? Some people like commercial, whatever. Whatever your thing is, identify your criteria of what you're going to invest in. And so you can make quick decisions. Your buy box. If all the criteria get check marked, it's check, yep, check, yep, check, then you can buy it almost without thinking. And that's what you need to do because you get your financing in place, you understand the market and where the value is, and you understand your criteria. And then when the market starts to run, that is when you start buy. When you take a listing, should I buy this listing? Well, let's see. Does it fit in the damn box? Oh, it does. I should buy this. Hey, Joe Banker guy, let's go. We're going to buy this one because the numbers work. Be smart, though. This is where you got to be very smart. Real estate is a big thing, and it's hard to get out. If you buy the wrong thing, it's hard to get out. You buy the bad stock, you can dump it, right? Sell. Real estate, it's sell is more like list, and let's see what happens, right? It's a different game you play. You got to be very, very smart, very careful because you can hurt yourself. But if you're studying the market trends, if you're studying the value, what makes one thing valuable over the other thing, if you're understanding financing, how to get it, where to get it, and have yourself prepared. When those opportunities come knocking, you are running the door. Welcome and let's play, right? And it'll change your life forever. And I'll tell you how it's changed my life forever. I was fortunate enough to buy those cash flowing properties, right? That are cash flowing. They're not costing me anything. They're cash flowing. And, we're not selling as much as we did, right? We're surviving the downturn, but I got cash flowing properties, all right? And they're offsetting my negatives over here. It takes a lot of pressure off me, okay? It makes a difference in my life. And I see a lot of people that don't have that, right? Our agents that are hurting financially because they're not selling as much are able to lever the assets that they invested in the go times. and it's going to carry them over to the next go time. Those that didn't have those assets are just in hard shape, and I feel for them because the market's still down. It's still down. Now, yes, you can make money. Yes, you can do sales, but it's harder. But there's a better, easier time coming. Take advantage of your opportunity right now to learn, to save, to prepare, not for the doomsday, but for the great times that are sure to come, because they always do. It's just a matter of when. All right. Destiny, how does that hit you as somebody who's probably on the earlier stages of your career?
It hits me pretty hard, actually, because I just picked up the book, Finally, Exactly What to Say. And in the very beginning, it talks about how, all these major athletes and even recording artists, they put so much time into their training and preparing for a 60-second race. You know what I mean? And so how does that help you in your phone conversations? You may only have one shot to make a good impression. So how can you prepare yourself so that you can grab that listener's attention enough to trust you to have a follow-up conversation?
Very hard to practice during the game.
It is.
Right? You got to play the game. All right.
Yeah.
So practice in advance.
Mm-hmm. Lots of preparation.
A lot. How about you, Julie? What does your career arc tell you? You've been through this ups and downs, right?
Yeah, and I'm looking at this from two perspectives, from the investor perspective and from, realtors right now perspective, and what's happening in the market and what should we all be doing. And what's happened is we're in what is defined as a professionals market from a lot of perspectives. The new perspective of professionals market is being a buyer's agent in this new world after the settlement of the lawsuit, because you used to, as a buyer's agent, you knew you were going to get paid. You might not like what was being offered or what the compensation was, but you knew you were going to get paid, or you didn't show a property, or you would show it last, or whatever. Let's be honest, everybody didn't show it exactly the same if it was 1% and someone was offering 4%. So what's happening now is you're having to negotiate during the contract writing. And the first thing that's happening, and I've been writing a lot of contracts since August, is the listing agent oftentimes is not defending the buyer's compensation. And,
they want to cut it right away, don't they?
It's the first thing that everyone wants to cut, from the sellers to the
your commission.
Everyone wants to cut it. And so you're having to work even harder to earn that.
Mm-hmm.
So coming back to this as a professionals market, you're going to have to get much better at what you say to a buyer on the front end when you're asking them to sign a buyer broker agreement, and you're saying to them, look, the seller's not obligated to pay. We will negotiate. We will ask them to pay, but whatever they won't pay for my compensation, you have to demonstrate your value. Whatever they won't pay for my compensation, this is saying that I'm working for you and you're going to make up the difference. Mm-hmm. And then you have to remind them, when the seller and the listing agent cut your commission, hey, buyer, when they cut this, you're going to be making up the difference. Do you want to make up the difference in closing costs, or do you want us to negotiate this back in? You have got to master scripts. You've got to practice, because otherwise you're going to be coming back to the closing table. And if the seller says you're getting 2 or 1 or whatever, and then you come back to the buyer and say, hey, you're making up the difference. So they're like, what? No. Yes. And then all of a sudden you're negotiating a third time. So you've got to get to understand what the market is, and you've got to be able to demonstrate your value in a way that people are not surprised that you've set the expectations ahead of time.
Let me ask some. Are there scripts out there for this? I don't know. This is newer. I got my own scripts.
It's newer, and this is something that everyone has got to learn. There are not. You can't just go online and find them, because they don't exist.
Yeah.
Right? All the other scripts are out there. You can find them.
And here's the thing: is there are still agents who are trying to just slip in the buyer brokerage agreement for the showing. And this is going to expose those that don't sit down, just like you would do at the listing presentation, and have a consultation. You have to sit down with the buyer, do the buyer consultation, have a professional conversation about how fees are paid, and agree in advance. Because those that are trying to slip it in, they're getting bit on the back end. Those that are on the front end having that conversation, demonstrating their worth, they are the ones who are still getting paid their fee, and even more than when it was defaulted to the
Here's
seller.
one thing I've learned over the years. If you're good, if they see value in what you're providing, they'll sign whatever you want. If they
Right.
don't, you can say whatever you want and they're not going to sign it. So make sure you're good at your job. And part of that is owning up to those scripts. Yeah, I want to get back on the market thing too. We are entering into a buyer's market. There's not a ton of inventory, but here's what I know. There are a lot of people who bought in 22, 23, 24 that did so with the expectation the market always goes up, expenses won't jump, I'll always be in a good spot, I won't lose my job, all these things. But they're going to find themselves where the market isn't going up, where prices are flat or even going down, or if they are up, they're only up slightly. And you still lose if you sell because you have closing costs. You're going to have to bring a check to closing. That's going to be problematic. But the rates aren't necessarily going down. Don't look to that as a savior. There's a not a gazillion people that are in trouble, but there's enough that are going to be uncomfortable that they're going to sell and sell cheap. This is probably going to be the best time, 2025, to buy real estate at what I would call a discount. So figure that game out, people.
We've been in a buyer's market here for probably 6 weeks, eight weeks. And the thing is, I look at that every week, and we actually have a metric that is measured that determines it. And you can see it, you can feel it in the market. And the thing is, it's very interesting because not very many people know it. And then coming back to this,
they don't know it. Realtors included.
Most realtors don't know it. Sellers for sure don't know it. Buyers are recognizing it, and they're coming in and they're lowballing all over the place. And if
they're walking from deals, they're not taking them.
Yeah. And the thing is sellers are having to learn the hard way. And coming back to this is professionals market for both buyers agents and listing agents. If you understand that and you don't come at it from the perspective of a lot of agents who, we've got 85% turnover every 5 years, they're only used to a seller's market. They put a house on the market, they expect it to sell. They're doing a whole bunch of price reductions and they're rejecting great offers because they don't understand that it's a great offer, and then they lose the listing. So as a buyer's agent or a listing agent, you better understand what kind of market we're in. It's not you get a listing and it sells with multiple offers. That is not happening.
And understand this, if you find a seller, because you're lead gen, who's willing to sell at a price below what value is, be prepared to be the one that says, you know what, I'll do this deal for you, right? This is where you make your money. This is knowledge, expertise, and skill meeting up at the same time opportunity knocks. So be ready. Be ready.
And the positive upside is you're going to see, positive or negative, because it's getting hard. I didn't think when this lawsuit first was settled, I didn't think we'd lose a lot of agents. I'm like, that won't be. I'm starting to see it now because most agents don't have the experience. They don't get listed.
It's a lag, no doubt. What were you going to say, Mark?
The buyers are falling off.
I think that to your point of just staying in the market in those periods, I've got a friend named Joel who's made millions in Bitcoin. And this isn't a Bitcoin thing, but there's a parallel in which he said there was a time when people said 5 cents, that's too expensive. It was a penny. And then they were saying, I'm not going to buy that at $1. Well, it's trading right now at almost $99,000. And his point was there is a movement up. We see a trajectory in real estate. It improves unless it's just a dog of a house in a bad area. And that where most people will buy when the market's peaking, because
when people are lined up to buy and make offers, that's not when you want to be buying.
No, but you've got to be in the game. And those people that know the market, they see the trends, they know when to buy and when to sell, they will win. But you've got to be in it. Not you're waiting for the perfect thing to align. Hey, the perfect thing is I got a pulse. I need to be in the game and I need to be working now. Don't wait for the perfect planets to align. It is now. And it's in those moments that you can take advantage of it when you see those trends. But you got to be in the game.
You got to pay attention to the trends. You've got to know what the trend is at all times. and you only know that, to back to Destiny's point, practice, practice, practice. You know, these athletes that have a 60-second event that practice for years, and they're practicing every day. And as realtors, you go on a listing appointment and that's when you practice, or you get an offer and you're negotiating an offer and that's when you're practicing. Not the time to be practicing.
All right,
Our agents aren't reading. They're not reading Never Split the Difference. They're not taking a negotiation course. They're not. Most people are illiterate by choice, and they're either hiding in classes nonstop and never putting into practice, or they're not sharpening their axe.
Hey, people, we started a YouTube channel. Will you go there and subscribe? We're trying to build it. All right. It's YouTube. If you go on there, it's Win the Day Podcast, John Moran. All right. Go there. We post all these things there. You can watch them later. You can listen. You know what? Ideally, what I envision in my mind is folks are out exercising, walking on their bike, treadmill, whatever, and they're listening to this and getting exercise at the same time. And then when they get done, they take some of these thoughts and put them into action, because ideas without action, I mean, who cares, right? And
make sure you hit that little bell, because that's going to pop up as just a notification that says, hey, we're on, because you're going to get busy. You're going to forget about it. And we'll remind you of that simple little, anytime there's something new, it'll ring you.
And here's the thing. We've got a gentleman on. His name's Andrew Paul. He's going to be on tomorrow. He's an expert in VA lending and lending in general. These are the guys you got to listen to and talk to. So when you're out doing your lead gen, you bump into somebody who wants to sell. Maybe you are the buyer and you can be the buyer. It sucks knowing a good deal's there, but you can't pull the trigger because you're not prepared. Listening and talking to guys like Andrew will get you prepared. Be smart. Destiny, wrap us up here. What do you got?
Well, I'm excited about tomorrow. I think, kind of to piggyback off of what Julie said, paying attention to those trends. We are in a military area. We've got 2 major bases right here in this area. So paying attention to those PCS trends, people are going to be selling and buying here every few years. So knowing that trend itself will bring in lots of business for us.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Julie, give us a wrap.
Yeah, I would just say, make sure that you know what's going on, because we're going to start to see that even though there's fewer transactions, you'll get a larger percentage of the pie just by being knowledgeable and being of service, because a lot of our competitors are going to be getting out.
Mark, can you add on that?
Hey, go talk to people and find out what their real estate needs are. Focus on the ones that are 0 to 6 months, love on everybody else, and don't stop talking to people.
Love it. So here's the deal. As I look out at the horizon, I see sellers pulling their properties off the market, those that don't need to sell, right? I got a low mortgage rate. I'm fine. I was sold if I got the number, but I'm not. They're going to pull their properties. Some will leave them on, the dreamers, maybe, a sucker born every day, but they don't care. It sells, it doesn't, right? So you can see the inventory drop from those folks, but then you're also going to see an increase. This is where it gets exciting, of inventory of people that actually have to sell, want to sell at market value. This is where you're going to make your money. All right. So get in the game, play the game, and start building for when you can actually create life-changing wealth. All right. Let's go to work and do that right now. See y'all tomorrow with Andrew. It's going to be a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.